welcome to another episode of Unlocking the Cage. Hi, everybody. I'm your co-host Meg. I'm here with Chris. Chris.
Cheers. Happy
Cheers.
Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day.
We are drinking on the podcast today.
It's our 20th episode. It's Valentine's Day. It's a 3-day weekend. We are very excited to be here. All right. So today's episode, we were talking about the movie Moonstruck, which has been a very frequently requested one, and so I'm glad we're finally getting to do it. If you haven't listened to the show before, the purpose of our show is to watch and rank every single one of Nicolas Cage's 100+ movies. If you're listening to the podcast, we record this live on Twitch every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/managerscomedy. And you can also listen to old episodes on YouTube if you prefer the visual version, which is, usually fun because we have clips and stuff. youtube.com/managerscomedy.
I can't believe we're at 20 episodes already.
I am shocked.
A scant 1/5 of the way through his catalog of films.
I mean, we've been doing the work, Chris. We've been watching a Nicolas Cage movie pretty much every single week.
And it's scarred my mind.
Let's bring out our guest before we get any further, so we can cheers her as well. Our guest is a writer and professional communicator, and she strongly dislikes Nicolas Cage, but loves Cher. Our very good friend, Lara Drasin. Hey, Lara.
Hello. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers from afar.
Cheers from afar.
Or did they say anything in Italian like "Saluti"? Or no, they never said that in this movie, did they?
Oh my god, I should know this because I've lived in Italy for 4 months. So
I know.
You did too.
I did too. But I just don't recall them in this movie actually saying anything like that. They drank a lot of wine, but when they cheersed, I don't remember.
Well, they didn't really do a lot of cheersing.
Yeah,
they were just being. They had a lot of drama.
They did a lot of dropping sugar cubes into champagne.
Yes. I noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are, so this is great. You guys are both Italian study abroad kids.
Yes.
So you can tell us how accurate some of this stuff is.
I got even better than that, which is that my parents grew up in Brooklyn and lived there till they were in their late 20s. So I have my mom has a lot to say about this movie, but you have the Brooklyn side, you have the Italy side, so
yeah, I think
are we going to have a Fern's Corner in this episode?
I really think we should. I'll tell you, I spoke with her this morning, so I have some, she gave her thoughts, so I'm happy to share those with you.
And Fern is your mother.
Fern is my mother.
Okay.
And the first thought, and I'm only going to share one right now, which is that the poster that you guys used, she said that that's what she looked like in the 80s when she would get off a plane and where the air was very humid. And I said, Mom, I look like you. And she goes, oh, no. She's like, my hair only looked like that when I got off a plane and I was someplace really humid. So okay.
The poster we used, for those who haven't seen it, is the photo of Nicolas Cage and Cher at the opera when Cher has her hair really, really big.
Mm-hmm.
I did make a... Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
That was the look of the era. I just got off a very humid plane, I guess, is what they were going for back then.
I tried to do the more classic Moonstruck poster where she's like, but trying to Photoshop your head on that just produced some really disturbing stuff.
No, you did a great job.
Very unnatural head angle. So I thought we wouldn't traumatize our audience. All right. Chris, we're back. All right, let me give you guys a little background on this movie. Thank you, Chris, for the visual.
The Moonstruck poster.
Yeah, so imagine trying to Photoshop somebody's head, because I don't have any photos of Larry. It's a really weird poster, but memorable. Background on this movie. This is a 1987 movie. This is the same year for Nicolas Cage's career as Raising Arizona. It is right before Vampires Kiss, so this is right before he's decided that he's gonna get real weird with it, even though obviously he does in this movie. But this is before his sort of I can be as weird as I want phase. It was directed by a man named Norman Jewison, who I think is his other credit that I recognized was the Hurricane, the Denzel Washington movie. You guys remember that?
And the music for this film was composed by a man named Dick Hyman.
Thank you, Chris.
Just thought I'd throw that out there for everybody. Wrote that down.
Chris will always notice things like that, and that's why I love him. We have this movie. This movie was written by a man named John Patrick Shanley. I don't think it'll surprise you guys to know that he has a ton of theatrical credits. So like live theater.
And Doubt. He wrote Doubt, right?
Wrote Doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
This
he
movie
also.
Sorry,
go ahead.
This movie, it felt like a Shakespearean comedy. It definitely felt like it belonged on a stage and not a. I mean,
I would agree.
He also was the writer-director of the movie Congo, and Joe versus the Volcano.
I remember Congo.
He didn't direct Congo, he wrote it. As well as, oh my God, I tried so hard to get a clip of this. I really tried, but it was not possible. A movie called Wild Mountain Time, Thyme. Lara, have you heard of this movie?
Mm-mm.
Okay. This movie, I think, was famous. It was directed in 2020. It came out in 2020. It got a lot of press. It's Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt and Jamie Dornan.
Uh-huh.
So
oh, yeah. I know. He was just in that new Kristen Wiig movie.
Oh, yeah. I want to see that movie.
Yeah.
So it's like takes place in the countryside in Ireland. It's a romance.
Mm-hmm.
But do you mind if I spoil the ending for you?
Absolutely not. Go ahead.
Okay. The twist to this movie, Wild Mountain Time, which is going to sound insane, is that Jamie Dornan's character thinks he is a honeybee. Like a literal honeybee.
Okay.
And that's like he does a lot of weird stuff throughout the movie, and that's the relationship conflict that they have to resolve. This is a real movie.
So I know we're here to talk about Moonstruck, so I have so many questions, so maybe I can ask you offline. But
you could ask him quickly now. I don't know that much.
Like the logistics of it. So like does he see his own body?
I don't know that.
Right. Okay. I'm just
there's a good like a BuzzFeed walkthrough of the plot of the movie with like GIFs and photos and dialogue that'll sort of, I think, explain everything to you. So I would say look that up. It was Wild Mountain Time.
Yeah.
I have the whole movie here that I wasn't able to get off. I'm furiously like clipping.
It's okay.
Trying to get the moment he says, "I'm a honeybee," but I can't. Anyway.
I just like can't even imagine. I'm like, okay. I mean, you piqued my curiosity. I wasn't gonna watch it. Now I might actually watch it.
And this is actually relevant to me and Lara too, because our first improv team together was called the Honeybee.
That's why when you first said that, I was like, because like when I hear the term honeybee now, I only think of our
I know some other people who had delusions they were honeybees. It was you guys.
Oh my God, I can relate to the protagonist.
Well, art imitates life.
Yeah.
I guess my point I'm trying to make is that this guy has had some hits and he's had some misses, and that's okay.
That's okay. It's okay.
All right.
Haven't we
so
all?
let's talk before we dig into the movie. So, Lara, you are the first person we've booked for our show that has come into it saying that they hate Nicolas Cage. So I want to hear a little bit about where your thoughts are on this. And it's okay, we won't be offended here.
I want to hear what your wrong thoughts are.
Those are fighting words, Chris.
No, I'm just kidding. I Anyway, continue.
All right. So my wrong thoughts are, look, I was trying to explain it to Meg the other day. It's not like I decided to not like him. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, he's not a good actor. He's not this, he's not that. It's like, I just don't like him. You know, when you just don't like someone, it's like a visceral sort of like, I don't like his essence. I don't like him. I just don't like him. And so that's all I have. But you know what's interesting is that I didn't always feel that way. And so I'm trying to like remember the point at which I switched over to really disliking him. And I don't remember like what the trigger was, but I didn't used to have this big of a problem with him. And now I'm just like, oh, I see him and I'm like, yeah.
Was it before or after we started recording a podcast about him?
It was way before. It was for years. I felt this way for years.
So what are some Cage movies that you have seen that you remember and like having strong opinions about?
All right. So I did see, but again, because I don't like him, I haven't seen a lot of these movies recently. So I have in my life seen, National Treasure and the one with the waitress.
It Could Happen to You.
Happen
That
to
was
You.
our last week episode, actually.
Yeah. Saw that. I have seen, so I can't, this is maybe kind of weird, but I can't like remember if I saw Adaptation or whether I just think I saw Adaptation because I heard a lot about it and I think I probably didn't see it if I don't think that, I don't know. So I don't know if I saw Adaptation, but I know that was like a really big hit. What else was he?
Like Face Off, The Rock, Con Air, like those 90s action movies.
I know, but I don't like those movies, so I don't think I ever watched them. Like I might have seen Con Air or something if like my dad or my brother or something was watching it, but I don't like watching those movies, so I would not have sought them out.
So I hear you, and I think I don't blame you for this. I feel similarly about like James McAvoy for some reason. Ethan Hawke too. Just they have this like squirrely look to them, and they seem like creeps, and I'm not a fan. But
do you guys not think Nicolas Cage is a creep? Or like is that the point? Is like you're like figuring it out?
This has been a roller coaster for me because when I started out, I was like, oh yeah, Nick Cage is like, I don't know. Like I don't know what to think. Like I liked the movies because they were fun, but I was like, oh, he's just a lunatic and he's the nephew of a famous director, and that's how he got successful and whatever.
Right.
But as I've learned more about him, I'm starting to like to have a little bit more respect for him, and almost like he does have a bad attitude in some ways, I think, but he also seems to have like definitely method to his madness. You know what I mean? He's thinking about it. It's not like he's just going up there and acting crazy. Like there's, and then what really is
in like real life or the movies?
Oh, I don't know about real life. Maybe real life he's an ass.
Real life is a whole separate thing.
Yeah,
but like
maybe that's when I started to not like him. I don't know, which is stupid because who cares? But okay, continue.
Yeah, well, he has seemed to clean up his act in recent years. Like he does seem like he's losing weight. He's getting his shit together. He's making better movies again.
Financially solvent.
Yeah, he's not buying castles. He's not. What did he buy? An octopus. He's not doing that anymore. So who knows? Maybe he's turning over a new leaf. Maybe you would like the modern Nick Cage.
No, I don't think so because it's so far gone that like I don't even tune into any news about like I don't care. Like, I don't even. I think if I was scrolling and I saw like a story about him, I wouldn't click on it. Like I don't want to know. Like I don't want to know. Like I don't want to know. And then there's I don't know whether you guys have talked about this before, but the creepy picture of like the old timey guy that looks exactly like Nicolas Cage. Have you seen that? Where they're like, Nicolas Cage is secretly a vampire and he's been living for 200 years. And the guy looks exactly like him. And it like went around on the internet and everyone thinks he's a vampire now. I'm like, who knows? Maybe I think he's a vampire. I don't know.
So how much of a factor would you say the fact that there's a creepy vampire picture of him factors into your dislike?
You know what's interesting? It didn't change anything for me. It reinforced something for me. Like it wasn't like it changed my mind. It was more just that I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That feels right. Yeah. There you go.
We have talked about this. He talked about this on a talk show and was like, yeah, no, that's not me. If that was me, I'd be hotter. Like
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
I mean, when you look at them side by side, I mean, they really don't look the same at all.
It's enough. It's enough that I get it.
Yeah.
I think I just don't like him, so I want it to be true. I
mean, I want the concept of being able to be immortal to be true, because that would be fucking cool.
But why him at that point? It's like, why him?
Just
why?
him.
He has the secrets.
Just
we
him.
have to find out what they are.
All right. So we've established your Cage background. What?
No,
Oh my gosh!
This is my nightmare. Am I dreaming? Pinch myself.
Did Cage break your heart, Lara? That's what I want to know.
You think it was like a repressed memory where like something happened?
Or like, did you have a crush on Cage or something?
No,
Okay.
no, never. Shutting that down right now.
He let you down, and then this is like, I'll never trust a Cage again.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was.
So I want to hear about your background with Cher, because I know you are a Cher enthusiast.
Okay, I love Cher, and I actually have I have a group chat that is titled Just Cher, and it's with three friends from college, and one of the people who I absolutely adore, but I don't talk to her very often. So like we'll go like a year, and then someone will post something to like the Just Cher chat, and we're like, oh, that's so funny, like, huh? And we don't like start a conversation. We're not like, how are you doing?
Cher memes.
It's just Cher stuff, yeah, and I just love her. Like, she's just so out there. And she's one of those people where, and I don't know whether it has to do with like her generation or whatever, but when she posts on social media, you're like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? Because it's just so. Have you seen any of her, like, her social media or anything like that?
No.
I'm Googling best Cher tweets.
Like, I agree with most of what she says, and it's so out there, and I just love her. Like, I'm just like, I just love her.
I want to quote a Cher tweet. It says, "What's going on with my career? No space between my and career." That's it. That's all it says.
Well, like, what's going on with her career, right? She wanted to know. She's being open.
I think that might be a service she's actually talking about. Like an online service, mycareer.com.
No, doubtful. Highly doubtful, Chris.
What's going on with mycareer.com?
Mycareer.com. Is it down? Is there an outage?
I was checking out my profile and the site just crashed.
Here's another one. Before I fly off on my broom, what is a female wizard called?
Yeah. Right, so what's not to love?
Here's a great one. Last night I celebrated my 50th year as an entertainer. Follow that, you bitches. I'm not doing justice to the to the spacing and capitalization in a movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's in a class of her own. She's the best.
She's on the same meds that the old people meds that they give to like Trump, and that just juice you up, and you just start tweeting and just like don't care about punctuation anymore or whatever's going on.
But she is so like, and I can't speak to every single one of her tweets or posts. So like maybe she said something that I don't agree with, or that's entirely possible. So that's my disclaimer. But it's like so beautiful. Like, she just like sprinkles emojis in there. She's just like, spacing doesn't matter, capitalization, lots of exclamation points. Like, she just really expresses herself, and I respect that and appreciate her.
So I want to talk a little bit about sort of like what we knew about this movie going into it.
Brendan
so
had
Lara,
a nice
I know
comment.
You had already. Sorry, what did you say, Chris?
Brendan had a nice comment. But it was...
I'll read it out. She's wondering about her my career player in NBA 2K. I don't get the joke, but I respect it.
If Brendan said it, it's probably funny. So
it probably is.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's okay to laugh because it's
yeah.
That's all. All right.
We're just gonna laugh because we know that it's a good reference. So Lara, you obviously had seen the movie before. It was a long time ago, right?
I don't remember when I saw it. Maybe like a few years ago. Probably because my mom was like, "What? You've never seen Moonstruck?" Like, probably that. Feels more like a pressure thing, but. Because again, Nicolas Cage is in it.
Yeah, you were like, nah.
Yeah.
And Chris and I had never seen the movie. So going into this, I want to tell you guys what I knew about this movie. And Chris, I may need you to pull up a clip, which almost entirely comes from RuPaul's Drag Race, where they reference Cher constantly, especially the like "snap out of it" line.
Snap out of it. Yeah, that's what everyone knows. Yeah.
And there's an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race where they do Cher the Unauthorized Rusical, which is a musical number. They have a challenge called Slap Out of It, where they all try to get RuPaul to slap them. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any clips of that, but I do have a clip of the section of the Unauthorized Rusical that's about Moonstruck, and it's very bad. It's very bad.
It was very poorly executed. Whoa! Sorry about that.
That's a badly written musical, and also the performance by Asia O'Hara, who is otherwise wonderful, is very bad. But that's all I knew about it.
The jacket's right, the hair's right, the essentials.
She just definitely forgot the lyrics. She was in the bottom two for this, but did not go home that week.
Oh.
All right, so Chris, what did you know about the movie going into it?
I knew less than even that. I knew that like Nick Cage was in this, and Cher was in this. I didn't even know they got together in the movie. I thought it was about magic. Somebody told me it's a very magical movie, so I was like, is it about magic? So I thought it was going to be a surreal. I didn't know it was set in New York. I thought
it's a little surreal, right? I mean,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved the movie, but I didn't know anything.
Just didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they were like, I was like, are they gonna have sex? When they like started, I was like, oh my god, 17-year age difference. They got down.
So let's get into it. So I was thinking, like, this is the plot jumps around a lot. So I was thinking that we could sort of talk about this, like, in the structure of the different relationships in this movie and sort of like the arcs of that. So I mean, we start off, the main one at the beginning is Cher and Johnny. Is that his name? Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny Camerari. Johnny Camerari.
Who's played by Danny Aiello.
Of Hudson Hawk fame. Nobody has that movie.
No, just where you said this is smile and nod.
Brendan, Hudson Hawk, it's for you. All right, continue.
So we have that great proposal scene at the beginning when they're at the Italian restaurant and he doesn't know what he's doing. And
I love that scene. That scene was just so much fun. I just loved I don't know what they just painted this whole world in that whole first scene that was just like, I'm in. This is like this New York kind of weird, kind of like it's fucking felt so familiar, but also so weird.
Yeah.
You know?
And the way that she's so smoothly like, you gotta get on one knee when you're gonna propose. You gotta do a ring. Like, she's so unfazed by it, but it's almost like she's his mother, right? Like, just being like, no, you gotta do this. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. And I'm like, at first, because you just meet them, you're like, does she want to marry him? Is she gonna turn him down? And then she's like, yeah, marry you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's such a good way of like showing us who she is, I think. You know?
Definitely. And who Danny Aiello is.
Yeah.
And like how they fit. It's like such a weird, tightly knit community. Oh man, and I love when Frasier's dad shows up.
Yeah.
Yes.
That guy.
Oh
man.
That's what Danny said. Danny was like, that's Frasier's dad.
And then there's the quote, he says, Danny Aiello says, a man who can't control his woman is funny.
Oh my God.
The very first scene, and you're like, oh, guy, this is a schmo.
And I'm like, you're being told what to do when you're proposing to someone, and yet you're like, oh, a man who can't like control his woman, really? You know, so yeah, it definitely was, you're sort of transported to a different time and place.
And you're really set up to not like him, for sure.
If this were on stage, his character would be played up so much bigger as a buffoon. Like, you know, and his relationship with his mother and, like, all that stuff. He did play it really big, though. He played it really big for, like, a movie. You know what I mean? Where he's like, my mother has fallen ill.
He's always just, like, like frenetic or something, you know?
But, like, you would know right at the start of the movie, oh, these guys, she doesn't belong with him. But I think they're a little more subtle with it. You know, because it wasn't on stage.
You're like, oh, you're settling. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
like,
it's cute, I guess.
Roger that.
He's probably got some redeeming qualities. I don't know. Huh.
Well, that's the thing, is that they set him up at the beginning where you're like, I don't think I'm supposed to like this person. And then as the movie goes on, you're like, you know what? He's just who he is. Like, it's not even like you don't like him, but you're not like he's a villain, right? You're just kind of like,
not.
Right.
He's just, he's just Johnny Camerari, you know?
Johnny Camerari, you know? Hey, whatever.
And he what's it called? Yeah, so he goes to Italy because his mom is dying, and he's so serious about everything with the mom is just like so over the top, like melodrama. Especially like
and then Cher's like, oh, okay, like she's so dismissive of it, like, so that you're like, wait, aren't you supposed to be like a little more comforting or concerned or so it sets off that kind of like whimsy, sort of like they're quirky. It's just, I guess it puts you in like a different headspace.
Do you remember when he's getting on the plane to go to Sicily and the old woman is cursing the fucking plane?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the hell?
And then at the end, she's like, I don't really believe in curses, but...
She's like, I want you to die in a fiery ball of gasoline. And I'm like, whoa.
And again, Cher's just like, oh, okay. Like, she's just so, like, nothing phases her.
It's just like, you do you with your curses. I'll see you later. Bye.
This is normal.
I feel like there's a lot of bits in this movie, like one-off ones and then recurring ones that are just set up to give like a character actor something interesting to do for a while.
Yeah.
And I love movies like that where it's like, let's just bring in this lady to be a weirdo and curse a plane and then she's gone.
She brings in that Sicily element where it's like getting you ready for when he's in Sicily. Like it kind of adds that, it adds like the flavor, it adds that, old world Italy kind of vibe.
There's something about this movie too where they always have like 10 or 12 of these moments where an actor delivers a single line that is hilarious and poignant all at the same time, that kind of just paints the whole world for you. And one of those moments was Cher goes home, and I don't want to get too far ahead. She goes home to tell her parents that he proposed, and the mom's in bed, and they go to wake her up, and like they're like, whatever her name, I forget her the actress. Rose, and she just immediately goes, "Who's dead?" That's it. Like just her eyes open. She's like, "Who's dead?"
Yeah,
I wrote that down too.
It was so perfect.
You're like, I get it. I get the family. Like I get the dynamic. Like it makes it really clear.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
And we have, and I think one thing important to note that about why she's settling for Johnny too, that we haven't talked about, is she's a widow, and she has like a big obsession with bad luck.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if I did this with my first husband, and then that's why he got hit by a car and died, and I can't have bad luck, for this next thing. And she also, it's clear that she doesn't love Johnny, because I think she says, her mom at some point says like, "Are you in love with him?" And
nope.
She's like, no. And the mom's like, "That's probably for the best."
But I think the bad luck thing, interestingly, kind of runs throughout, where like even later after she, and I don't want to jump ahead, but after she does stuff that she like takes it, like she herself did, and then she's like, "I have bad luck, I have bad luck, I have bad luck." It's like a way of sort of, and I'm not saying that the husband getting hit by the bus was like, I mean, we're not shown that, so we don't know. But it's just everything is like on bad luck, bad luck, bad luck. Anything bad that happens, it's bad luck. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and they it's funny because we just talked about the whole thing where the lady's cursing the plane, and she's like, "I don't believe in curses," but she does believe in bad luck. So
yeah, I was surprised she didn't care about that.
Yeah, that was a weird one, right? So I don't know. Anyway.
Well, and I guess that's a good point, because I didn't really think about it that way. But so do you think that was intentional, or do you think that was just like a plot hole kind of thing?
Well, maybe what they're saying is it wasn't. It's really just she's afraid. It's not that, bad luck is following her everywhere. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump around. I'm gonna again like kind of bounce through some of these relationships. This one isn't really a relationship, but when I just want to talk about the grandpa. I love the grandpa.
Bella Luna. Love him.
The grandpa had some like of the best moments of the whole movie. He was great.
He has 5 dogs that just like the dogs are just running everywhere. He's always walking the dogs. I love the dog.
Stealer.
Do you remember when him and his friends just casually go to a funeral?
Yeah.
They're like, here we are at another one, hey guys, another one bit the dust.
It's early on. It's they like are all gathering around a grave, and everyone's got dogs.
Oh my god, I don't remember that at all.
Because it was so understated. The funeral was like such a non thing. They were all just like kind of standing in a park around a
freshly buried grave
thing. They don't even say he's going to a funeral. They're just like, he just meets. You could see a bunch of older men at a funeral. Must have been one of their childhood friends or something.
Right.
And it's like, all right, well we did this.
The whole time you kind of think like maybe he's gonna die in the movie. Like you kind of get that sense, and then he doesn't. But I guess it kind of fits in with the dad, like fear of death or whatever. Everyone's like scared of dying, and it's like everyone's fine,
the whole thing with the grandfather and the moon at the beginning. He has a little moon speech at the beginning, right? Uh-oh. Just for the podcast people at home, Meg just poured another glass of wine.
I think you can hear it through my Go ahead. What were you saying, Chris?
Brendan, how's the audio? I'm having a moment where I'm like, does this sound terrible right now? Let me know if it sounds bad at all, Brendan. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
He has
Brendan.
He has like a moment where he's like, doesn't he have like a little speech at the beginning? What am I trying to say right now? Oh God, it's already getting sloppy.
Well, he's just like, he adds again that kind of like, he adds like the color and the flavor of like that old world kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah.
But I think the most telling moment, can I skip ahead? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, do it, yeah.
So I think one of the most telling moments is when he sees Rose walking around the corner with the professor, and you're like, oh God, because it's Rose's husband's father, right? So you're like, oh crap. And he just kind of keeps going, and he doesn't blow up her spot. He kind of just keeps going. And then later he's like, whatever. But when they're home and he doesn't, and I just thought that was an interesting moment.
That's a great moment. Yeah. Let's talk about Rose and Frasier's dad. So this is after. So,
no, wait.
Yes. No.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So this is after we're jumping around a little bit here, but Rose finds out that her husband is cheating on her, or she's like pretty certain. And so she goes out to dinner alone. She's very sad. And she runs into Frasier's dad, who is been, had wine thrown on him by yet another student at the same restaurant. And they have this like really cute conversation. She goes and sits with him, and they have this really cute conversation. And they're flirting a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Did you find in Italian culture, or maybe this, I feel like in European culture, maybe in general in French culture too, that affairs are more of a like accepted fact of life as you get older in relationships? I don't know. That was what I was told by people.
I can't speak to like it being a cultural thing, because it's hard to separate out what's a cultural thing and what's the traditional dynamics between married couples for the last several thousand years, right? Like, it's hard to kind of separate those things out, because in this movie you're kind of like I thought of it more as just the roles are very traditional with the right, and so and you see it even with Nicolas Cage and Cher, where like he just has this hyper, I mean, I think it's like toxic masculinity, but whatever. He's super like, rawr, and then she's like, I'm gonna go do my makeup now, and it's just, it's that really like really polar kind of traditional sort of thing. So that was sort of how I took it. But it's interesting because he's like the brother, then Rose's brother is then talking about how much he, is his name Cosimo?
I think so. The brother, yeah.
How much he loved Rose when they were younger. And then at the end, he's sort of like, he loves her, he's afraid of death, as Rose says, and chasing after women.
And that's the explanation that they say for why men chase, they're afraid of death.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a few things. I'm just trying to get us oriented to something.
I feel like that is a great get out of jail free card. Wow, that's a good one. I'm going to use that.
Afraid of death?
Meg, I'm afraid of death.
Sorry,
that's why.
I'm afraid of death.
You fucking should be, Chris.
Whoa! See, where was Olympia Dukakis with that quick wit? Like, you're afraid of death? Oh, you should be now, because you have to fall asleep sometime. Husband.
All right, so we have the relationship between Olympia Dukakis and Frasier's dad, but they never really hook up or anything. They just have a little flirt. They walk home arm in arm. Grandpa sees it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like nothing. I mean, but the grandpa's like, oh, they fucking.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's almost like, I took it as like he knows that his son is sort of stepping out, and so he was sort of like, all right, okay, like, so he's mad about it, but he's also like, he knows how she's being treated, so.
And that was like, there was multiple affairs too. I mean, well, I don't know if we're gonna like start.
Yeah, so let's jump
off.
over the other affair before, because I want to save the Cher and Nicolas Cage relationship for last.
Okay.
So meanwhile, Dad Vincent Gardenia is having an affair with someone named Mona. Which would you believe it? There is a 16-year age difference between those actors. There's a lot of like big age differences.
Is she older or younger?
Great question. I should have written that down.
Younger. She's got to be younger.
If
she's older, good for her, man. Because
she wasn't the woman in the liquor store, right? She wasn't the wife from the liquor store.
No,
that was different.
Wait, was she?
No, she probably wasn't.
Oh,
but
wow.
They had a similar haircut or something.
Do you remember that conversation where they're just like, "You're a wolf"?
Oh yes.
Yeah, and then
there's a really cute.
You know what I see in you, the woman I married, and then she's like, "Oh, yeah."
Yes, she is younger. She is 16 years younger than him.
Man, it's interesting, this imagery or the theme of the wolf or whatever, because we just watched In and of Itself, and he keeps talking about wolf stuff, and now I'm just like, what's going on? Wolf Blitzer, that's a person. You got Wolfram and Hart from the Angel series. What else?
Maybe he's also a wolf. In addition to being a vampire, he's a werewolf, and it's just people are just
now we're talking. This is all part of the same cinematic universe as the Twilight films. Is what we're coming to find here. Nick Cage is a vampire. We talked about that earlier. Coming full circle. Nick Cage's life story is Angel. They just made a TV show of it. I'm done.
And cast David Boreanaz.
Sorry.
I wish I knew more Angel references.
That's the only one I know. It's a spin-off, right? Of Buffy.
Buffy.
Yeah.
The only Angel references Meg knows now are the shocking allegations against Joss Whedon. Or not shocking. Anyway, let's not go there.
Let's not even go there.
Let's not even go there.
So we'll save that for our
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
That's for We Done It.
Drasin.
Just Drasin, or We Done It.
Wait, what you said? We Done It.
We Done It.
We Done It is better than just Drasin, especially given the shocking allegations.
But it's like a who done it mystery about the shocking allegations against Joss Whedon. We Done It.
We Done It.
We Done It.
Anyway, back to the film.
So Dad and Mona are having an affair. They go to the opera together.
Every time I hear the word Mona, I'm like, who's the boss?
When I have it written down, and it makes me think of Moana because Lara's in my eye line.
I love Moana. Yeah. Okay, but
Moana
we're not
is the opposite.
Moana. Okay.
It's the opposite of Nick Cage for you, is Moana.
Yeah.
All right, and I want to show. I feel like this is a good time to show the clip. Since we've been talking about the mom and dad and the mom and dad and Mona, do you want to show the clip? I want you to stop seeing her.
Yes.
Clip.
The very end of the film.
So we're cutting ahead a little bit, but this is the resolution to the mom and the dad. With the affairs.
Mm-hmm. It's a good scene.
I want you to stop seeing her.
You didn't include the last.
What?
I'm sorry. I used the exact timestamps you gave me, Meg.
Oh no. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He goes. Okay.
That's the. Oh, Chris.
No, it's my bad. I should have given you.
No, my bad too. Both are bads. Lots of bads to go around.
It's okay. He goes really drunk. He bangs the table. Then he goes. Okay.
He looks so much like John Goodman. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
He's like.
He looks like tiny John Goodman.
Man, so weird.
I have a fun fact about this movie, about this scene. So this scene was the director said it was the most difficult scene he ever shot in his career. And he just had a lot of trouble getting the blocking right. And so they basically rehearsed it like it was on stage. So I think this is when Chris turned to me and said, this feels like a stage production. So they just ran it like it was a stage production. And then he thought about the blocking from that.
That's interesting.
And he wouldn't let them leave until he got it right. And I believe it was Cher threatened to file like a report against him because he wouldn't let them have their lunch break.
That scene too, where he they bring the entire cast back in for one scene definitely felt like a stage show. It definitely felt like the end of a Shakespearean play where, like, you know, everyone gets married, you know.
Oh, and he did end up getting fined by the actors union for that.
Worth it.
And then the Aunt Rita comes in, and then no one gives up their chair. She's just standing awkwardly, and like none of the men are standing up, or you know, no one's giving their chair up to her. And then the doorbell rings, and she's like, "I'll get it." And everyone's like, "Okay, I gotta go get it." Poor Aunt Rita.
Guys, I gotta go back to something that we just kind of glossed right over.
Okay.
Yes.
Very top of the movie. She's doing accounting for these various businesses. Remember the guy just like buttering some bread in an office and
He like drops it, right?
it was just weird. It's like, oh, here's some bread and butter in an office, and like, what?
It was It was in a funeral home.
Yeah.
Anyway, had to talk about it. Just get it out of my system. Guys, we're already at 5:42. Haven't even got to the meat of this fucking movie yet.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it, guys. Okay,
I think we should drink more and just keep talking. 2
I'm
hour
having
podcast.
a
2
great
hour
time.
podcast.
People can deal. You guys should watch this movie.
This is
That's
going
all.
out
Not you
unedited.
guys, listeners. All right, so we got the main meat and potatoes of this, which is the Cher and Nicolas Cage relationship. This is the one we have the most clips of. So if you've been like, man, they don't have a lot of clips this week, that's why.
We have a lot to share with you. What?
What'd you say?
We have a lot to share with you.
I'll take it.
My mic is going off.
So the reason that Nicolas Cage comes into the story, so she's gonna marry Johnny, and Johnny says, "You got to invite my brother Ronnie," and he's like really insistent about it. You got to bring Ronnie's got to come to the wedding.
Johnny and Ronnie Camilleri. Hey, how you doing?
Ronnie Camilleri, Johnny Camilleri. But she doesn't. He has a phone. Like, I don't. This is the thing that bothers me is that I'm sorry, Meg. I'm cutting you off because this is
fine.
This to me makes no sense, and I get maybe I have to cool my jets a little bit, but he's got a phone. He calls her from Sicily, but he can't call his brother from Sicily. And also, the brother's not in Sicily visiting the mom who's dying. So, and maybe that's like, because later Nicolas Cage has a throwaway line where he's like, "We're not close," about his mom. But why can't Johnny call Ronnie himself?
Well, it's given this sort of like this big importance, like this horrible feud they've had, and like he's, you know, both the brothers are so dramatic about it. Like, I think he thinks like, oh, I can't be the one to do it. I have to apologize to him in person. I have to, you know, get him. I don't know. I think that's the entire logic.
That flies. Like, I'll take that, but I'm not sold. But
I'm not saying it's the right choice. I think that's just the choice he has made.
Yeah.
Not to just like totally pull the whatever out from under everyone's disbelief here for a second, but in what situation do two boys end up with no Italian accents as first generation immigrants where their mother still lives in Sicily?
Well, we don't know, right? We don't know whether they were born, where they were born, or whether the mom went back maybe later.
Okay, or the dad could have abducted them, taken them to America.
They have another level of drama, but maybe
30,
that's why they don't get along.
30-year age difference between the two of them.
Younger brother.
brothers.
Ooh, that mom. Wow, that mom had some range in her She
has the range.
Wow.
Wait. So how old was Nicolas Cage? Because I know Cher was like 41 or something, right? And she plays a 37-year-old. And then how old is Nicolas Cage in the movie and in real life?
Not older than 24, I think. 25?
Yeah, he's 17 years younger than her.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah, in real life. So whatever,
so
like
23.
24-ish, 23, 24-ish.
I'm more of a words and letters person, so
yeah. I think it's 24. Yeah, you're right.
24. Yeah.
Wow.
So and Danny Aiello is in his 50s. So he's absolutely old enough to be Nicolas Cage's dad.
So that means the first day of puberty she had a kid, and right before menopause she that is generous too. I mean, like,
and they very explicitly make it clear that they have the same mother. You know,
maybe Nicolas Cage was an accident.
Yeah,
maybe that's why he hates himself.
Yeah, Nick Cage was like, you know, she was 48 years old.
Right. Oops.
Oops.
Or maybe they're one of them is playing younger, or one of them is playing older than they actually are.
God, Mag, come on.
Well, obviously, obviously
I'm
Nick Cage is
ruining
supposed to be
things.
older than he is, but my God. Also, I am sorry. I can appreciate a good-looking man. Nick Cage is a busted-ass face dude. I can't get on board. That face, he looks like glue's melted. Like, he looks like a wax candle that someone left in the sun in this goddamn movie. And he's a unibrow. Why did anyone get on board with this guy? Sorry.
He's
Anyway.
also missing a tooth.
He's missing a tooth. And he's missing
a
hand.
dreamboat to share. He's a dreamboat to share. I don't know why. Can I talk about the first scene where they meet?
Yes.
Sure.
So let's set this up. So she's going to visit him to try to convince him to come to the wedding. He's at a bakery. I assume that's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple clips from this, which we might want to show, because I think you're going to reference this.
Which one's that? In the basement.
The knife one.
Oh yeah.
And then and then the famous "I lost my hand" one.
All right, this is my favorite line of the whole movie.
Chrissy, over by the wall. Bring me the big knife.
No, Ronnie.
Bring me the big knife. I'm gonna cut my throat.
Maybe I should come back another time.
No, I want you to see this. I want you to watch me kill myself so you can tell my brother Johnny on his wedding day, okay? Chrissy, bring me the big knife!
I tell you, I won't do it.
She won't do it. Do you know about me?
Oh, Mr. Camarero.
What?
And then the next one, which is why he talks about, this is how he explains the feud between him and Johnny.
Blood between you and Johnny?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, but that's not Johnny's fault.
I don't care! I ain't no freaking monument to justice! I lost my hand! I lost my bride! Johnny has his hand! Johnny has his bride! You want me to take my heartbreak, put it away, and forget?
The reactions are so good.
And at the end of this, I just really wanted bread.
All right. So Lara, what were you going to say about this now that we have it all, we're all on the same page?
Like, I guess, are we supposed to, obviously he's toxic, right? Like, obviously. So are we supposed to think that? Or is this just like, oh, it was the 80s or whatever, so, oh no. Or are we supposed to be like, wow, he's so sensitive and brooding? Like, what are we supposed to think? Because I'm scared for her, right? Like, and I'm just like, this guy, no, like, he's got to deal with some stuff before he gets into another serious relationship. And also, like, I'm no monument to, like, and the bride leaving, it's like, she probably wasn't the right person for you if she's going to leave you because you got into a horrible accident, right? Like, there's just so many things. And I don't know. The first time I watched it, I remember thinking, oh my God, this guy's got issues. She should watch out. And the second time I watched it recently, I thought, because I'd seen the whole movie, and I thought, maybe they're both just like really like high drama, kind of toxic, like, and they kind of just work together. Like, I don't know, because look, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that you're supposed to think he's a mess, or do you think that you're supposed to think?
Oh, she froze, but at the end of a thought. Oh my God, we lost Lara.
We lost Lara.
We lost Lara, and the overlay looks terrible. But luckily, I had a long,
hi guys.
drawn-out thought to make right now. So, what's funny about this movie, I think, is that they make out what's it called? Cher to be very like, oh, I'm afraid of bad luck, very superstitious. But she also is admittedly is somebody who says she sees the truth in people. And so this whole thing with Nick Cage and like him having all these problems and stuff like that, it's kind of like she looks right past them. She has no fear. She's not afraid of the lady who gives the curses. She's really a fearless, very brave person when it comes to things. Like, she could see the truth of the situation, but she can't see, for some reason, I'm not saying it right, I don't really know what it is. She's not really seeing for herself, like, what she's not a very fearful person, but she's afraid for some reason to find somebody new because she's worried. I don't know, something's going to happen.
So first of all, sorry. Second of all, were you saying that that she is supposed to see him, or as being toxic, or not?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you not plug your MacBook in?
Yeah.
Hey, everyone out there in podcast world who's a Mac user, did you know that Macs need to be plugged in? I know.
Guys, I'm sorry.
I know it's a thing. I know it's not you, Lara. It is not you. It is literally almost
is me, but
no.
also,
It's
like,
every Mac user. It's every Mac user has done this, not just on our podcast, but on other people's that I listen to. On like how did this get made? Other podcasts, people do this. Anyway, sorry.
No, but I just plugged it in, so I'm gonna go back on the computer. But I'm sorry.
No, you're coming in great. You're coming in great.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, Lara, sorry, I cut you off.
What? No, but I'm just saying, like, I kind of heard the end of what you were saying, but do you think that the intention is for us to think that he's like, oh God, girl, like run away from him as fast as you can? Or do you think that that it was a time in like film history and like cultural history where it's like a Han Solo sort of like, oh, he's just like really sensitive and like masculine or something?
I think it's somewhere in between. I think it's in the universe of the movie, he's supposed to be a fucking drama queen for sure.
Yeah,
like, that's why they show the cut of everybody reacting to him like, ooh. And like I think at some point, I can't remember who it says, some like somebody calls him like the most like tortured man alive or something. Like he's supposed to be kind of a cartoon character.
I love that.
Yeah.
That lady he works with was like, he's the most tortured man alive. I've been in love with him ever since I've known him. That was the
I
best.
love Ronnie.
Lara,
I'm going back on my computer, so hold on. I'll be right back.
Wait, we got double Laras, double vision, 2 Laras at the same time. I had a question for Lara and I forgot it because of the beer. I'm drinking beer out of wine glass, everybody, and
all right, I'm back, and we're back. Sorry.
Oh no.
Like, anyway, I blame the wine.
I blame the wine also. But yeah, so they.
What do you think?
Mother. All right, yeah, earlier in the in the show, Lara, you like talked about how she was with Danny Aiello and how like she's more almost like a mothering kind of character, and I think maybe maybe that's what they're like. They kind of set her up to be somebody who's like a caretaker.
I need to save him.
Yeah, so maybe that's it.
Which is like again toxic kind of dynamic, but like they're just all I don't know. Like and again, not to bounce around too much, but I sort of felt on seeing it a second time, I kind of felt like the whole point is that they're all just sort of like dramatic. Everyone's got issues, but like they're familia, you know, like they're just was in at the end where they pan over all of the family photos. I think the first time I saw it, I was like, why? But the second time I saw it, I was like, I think they're just, it's like, this is part of like this like operatic like saga of their lives, you know, and I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the opera thing is a good point because we have this opera theme. We have this guy, Nicolas Cage's character is obsessed with the opera. Like, I think it's better to think about this not as a realistic movie, as it's like fun characters and like fun choices and big dramatic feelings, and like I think it's like he's supposed to be over the top and like it's not a real relationship.
I know, but what's so funny is that I love like musical theater and I love like big like drama or whatever, but I really analyze the characters from like almost like I'm like psychoanalyzing them, and then I forget that they're not real people. So with him, I'm like, oh no, like he needs to see someone. He needs to like deal with his trauma. And I'm like, oh, it's there's a cartoon moon in this movie, so I should probably just let it go.
Guys, we are an hour in.
Let's throw a couple more clips and then wrap.
Well, we need to get to talking about the scene where they go upstairs and they make sweet, sweet love.
What did you want to talk about?
First time?
The first time? I mean, that's the scene where, all right. Yeah.
We do have a clip of them kissing for the first time. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, also, just like that is the meat and potatoes of this movie. That's what people came to say, is like the whole part where he flips the fucking table over and he's like, nah, I'm taking you to the bedroom. And he like picks her up. It's like, where are we going? The bedroom. It's like, oh, nah, just, I gotta do you. And then she's like, just tear me apart so there's nothing left of me. Okay, I'll do that. All right. I love that part of the movie.
We don't need the clip. It's fine.
That's exactly what it sounded like. So yeah, we don't need to see the clip.
And then they pan to the left slowly to the moon, and then they come back, and it's the next day, and they banged, I guess.
Show us the clip, Chris.
All
Show us
right,
the table flip clip. Table flip clip.
Table scene.
Table flip
The
clip.
wrong way, and I cut off my hand. He could make you look the wrong way. You could lose your whole head.
I'm looking where I have to become a bride.
A bride without a head.
A wolf without a foot.
Like, I'm scared for her. Okay, stop.
Passion, Lara.
Like,
This is a very unsexy kiss, though, I want to say.
Oh, that was like suction cup in a face.
This is like a smush, smush.
That's
yeah,
like a plunger stuck on your entire face looking kiss. That's no good.
it's a bit much.
A wolf without a foot. What does that even mean? I've seen plenty of great videos online of dogs with 3 legs. They love it. They're happy.
I love it.
I saw a dog at a dog park recently with a little roller thing, with the little back legs
A
missing.
wolf without a
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they make sweet.
They can
sweet
live a
love.
normal life too.
Mhm.
We got to make sure we hit. Are there any other high points? Because we're in.
Well,
we're an hour
let's
in.
there's a couple from this section. So we've got to get to snap out of it because this happens right afterwards. So they have sex. He says, I mean, and you're right, this is toxic. He's like immediately like, I love you. Like if someone's saying I love you and the first time you've slept together, like something is probably wrong.
And that night
But-
the moon happens.
Then the moon happens. Yeah.
The
Big
moon
old
should have
moon.
had a bigger role, if you ask me. Like, I wanted more moon.
Like a
personally.
speaking role.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking role.
Like
come on.
Smashing Pumpkins music video
Yeah.
style. Or like in Moulin Rouge when Jim Broadbent is the moon.
Yeah, like, come on.
I haven't seen that in forever.
So there's actually one scene. We haven't talked about this yet. A comment from Brendan. Mac tonight shows up. I do not understand this reference. Feel free to elaborate. Mac tonight. Okay, we'll get back to that. There's one scene that I think this is my favorite scene in the whole movie. What?
Mac tonight is a fictional character used in the marketing of McDonald's restaurants. It's a guy. It's a moon.
Oh, okay. Great.
Oh.
That's a singing moon.
Oh.
All right, my favorite scene in the whole movie is when they're talking about the moon. It's the aunt and the uncle who are pretty minor characters. The uncle is, we don't have a clip of this unfortunately, but the uncle is looking at the moon and the aunt is like lying in bed. These are like, like people in their 60s. And the aunt is like, you look like when you were a teenager. And he's like, really? And then like crawls over. It's
And
the
then they-
sweetest thing. And then they have sex. Yes, it's true. But it's the sweetest little. Oh, I love that
It's
scene.
really cute. It's really sweet. He's like, it's a Cosmo moon because it's the moon that he was talking about when he saw Rose. He's Rose's brother. And he's talking about way, way, way back when like Rose and Cosmo were dating when they were young, and that Cosmo stood outside their house and it was this big moon. And so like the idea being he was moonstruck, by her.
Man, Moonstruck could mean that you're having like, I don't know, like maybe that's a real thing. Like gravity is causing blood to pool in the back of your brain.
Was a werewolf.
Oh,
Yeah, this is a werewolf.
That's
There's a
werewolf
werewolf
film, all right.
undertone.
I mean, they do
Wait,
openly call
hold
people
on.
wolves, so
The wolf, and then the moon. It's a.
catch up, Meg.
Wait, are we figuring out something new that no one's ever thought about before?
We absolutely have invented something. Invented a critical theory.
Oh yeah.
Wait, are you telling me that wolves and moons are connected in some way?
But in this movie, like there's a
I actually
subplot
did not
here.
pick up on that until now.
I didn't either. I'm sorry to say catch up because I didn't either. Now I'm.
No, it's fair. The movie was originally, here's a little trivia fact. The movie was originally called The Bride and the Wolf.
You want me to play that clip of how we know that trivia fact?
Let's do that later.
Okay.
Oh nope, we're doing it now.
No.
Oh.
We're back. Yeah, we're
Okay.
back.
But
Guys.
but hold up. But so what if like this movie only spans a couple days? So like, what if like after the moon is done being full,
Oh,
he
no.
changes his mind
You gotta live with the
because he was
consequences.
moonstruck because he's a werewolf, so he changes. Sorry.
Or
no
he eats her.
downer.
All right.
Anyway,
I want to see because we have not played the snap out of it clip.
Wow.
So we have to play that because chronologically in the movie, this is about where we are.
Snap out of it. Here's a snap out of it clip.
I'm in love with you.
Snap out of it.
I can't.
That's all.
But then he doesn't even look like he's been slapped. I know because they faked it, but he doesn't. He's just like looks normal. Like no, you know.
He's just so rugged. Life has smacked him in the face so hard already that he doesn't even feel it.
Wait, can I just bring up something kind of really confusing to me, which is that everyone knows Johnny Camilleri, right? Everyone's like, oh yeah, Johnny, like blah blah, because presumably they're all in the same neighborhood, their community, right? So how come no one knows Ronnie?
He's the black sheep.
Because they're estranged, I guess, because he if
For 5 years.
Yeah.
Only.
I mean, he works at Camilleri Bakery.
He's always in the basement, just like putting bread in the oven, like he's like the Quasimodo, like no one sees it.
He must be as much of a fixture as his brother. I mean, like they have a bakery with their last name on it that he works at.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be mafia. That's the undertone of this whole thing that they don't even talk about.
What?
Like
This
maybe
is
there's.
I feel like this is a wonderful movie because it's a movie about Italian Americans that doesn't lean into the mob thing.
He lost his hand in the meat slicer. Okay, Johnny, Ronnie, whatever your name is.
Yeah. Okay. No, this is not a mafia movie. As Meg said, it's a delightful story that has nothing to do with the mafia.
Yeah, right. You're right.
And also, that wouldn't explain why people don't know Ronnie.
I mean, I don't know.
Why don't people know Ronnie?
Because they know Johnny, and Johnny doesn't want to be around Ronnie.
But only for 5 years.
And their
Ronnie
sister,
was a kid
Bonnie.
5 years ago.
Oh, you're right. You're right. He's really young.
Yeah. All right. I want to show one more clip from the movie before we start wrapping this up. This is just out of we just like this clip. This is the grandpa at the very last scene when they all come together.
She loves me.
So now they're getting married. Ronnie and Cher.
What's the matter, Pop? I'm confused.
The old man is confused. That ending was just straight out of like what's it called? Why is
Shakespeare?
Like a Midsummer's
Dream,
yeah. Like it was just like this whole everyone gets married, everyone's happy ending, and everyone's on stage at the same time ending. And
I love it.
You're right. It is. I didn't think about that. It is very Shakespearean in that way.
It's a funny one.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, but all right. If we're gonna move on, we gotta make sure we hit all the high points. Wait, is there anything?
Yeah. What are the other things we want to talk about? About any detailed things you want to talk about before we move on to the next segment?
I'm looking back through my notes. I just want to make sure that I guess we did.
I have some good quotes. Hold on.
Okay.
At the end, there's like a really awkward phase at the awkward section at the dining table, and I think it's the grandpa who says, "Somebody tell a joke."
Yeah. That's a great line.
It's
And then the mom asks, "Do you love him?" And she says yes. And then the mom
she says something awful, Mom, or something like that. I love him something awful.
Mom says, "Oh God, that's too bad."
Yeah.
There's so many funny lines in this movie.
Those one-liners, they really did a great job. I love the part where the grandfather is with the dogs and he makes them howl at the moon and he's like, "What? I gotta do it!" And he starts howling himself.
Yeah.
That was great.
All right. I want to talk about so we have a clip about let's not show this yet, Chris, but the clip where Nicolas Cage is talking about actually let's just watch it. I want to just to end this up. This is a little clip. It's a little bit of a longer clip. Nicolas Cage talking about sort of like the character.
As I lost my hand, I lost my bride. And I think I got that idea from watching Fritz Lang's Metropolis. I think there's a moment in that movie, I'm not 100% certain, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I do believe I was inspired by a moment
not a fan.
in that movie when the doctor ripped off the glove from his metallic hand, and he did that, and I wanted to be kind of German expressionistic, like the old Metropolis movie by Fritz Lang.
I lost my hand! I lost my bride! Johnny has his hand! Johnny has his bride. You want me to take my heartbreak, put it away, and forget?
When I read the script, the fantastic John Patrick Shanley script, I somehow responded to it like Beauty and the Beast. And I had been a big fan of Jean Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast. Jean Marais' performance as the Beast, and he would talk like that in French, in French.
Vous volez mes roses. Vous volez mes roses, qui sont ce que j'aime le mieux au monde.
I wanted to speak like that because I had responded to the script that way. And about 2 weeks into production, I went home for the holidays and I got a call from the director, Norman Jewison, who said, Nick, the dailies aren't working. I want you to drop the Jean Marais. This voice you're doing is not working. And I dropped the Jean Marais. But what's fascinating is when John Patrick Shanley and I talked about the script, he said the original title was not Moonstruck. It was The Wolf and the Bride. So I think I was tapping into something from the screenwriter.
Huh.
I just thought the clip of the Beauty and the Beast in French was pretty funny. But so
I dropped the Jean Marais or whatever. What did he say?
I like this interview makes me I respect his the stuff he's thinking about, but just the way he talks like hits some sort of like nerve in my head. Like they're like, and then I thought.
So you're feeling it.
I still enjoy him as an actor. I just don't. I don't know.
There's something about him that
I mean, I know exactly what it is. It sounds like an ex-boyfriend of mine.
To watch that, to read the script and think, oh, it's kind of similar to Beauty and the Beast is not a huge leap.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So I guess I get what he's saying.
It's not, except that the protagonist, the Cher's character, also like has her stuff too, right? And it's funny because we've been watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend again from the beginning, and it reminds me of like the same kind of thing where you have this almost like slightly anti-hero kind of like protagonist where you're like, oh, she does a lot of messed up stuff, but like I want her to be okay and like I want her to, succeed. And so like I feel like I feel like he made the character, Cher's character, too interesting to just be like the beauty of the Beauty and the Beast,
Right, like Belle is a pretty boring character. She likes books.
She likes reading, yeah.
And he's not the Beast because he thinks he's the Beast, but honestly he's just an idiot. Like that is like it's like well-adjusted woman who's had some bad luck and the young idiot.
Yeah, like he doesn't need to like live a life of misery, he doesn't need to. He forced that upon himself.
I guess that's the true story of Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? Isolation.
All right.
Anyways.
Guys, we've talked a lot about this.
For the viewers at home, Meg's cheeks have become very red because of booze.
Chris, no.
Chris.
Can I tell you guys something? One of my this doesn't bother me, but like one of my biggest fears in like high school is being told that I was blushing because I have a very visible blush. Aww. So if I was blushing and someone came up to me like, "Oh, you're blushing," like that's literal nightmare fuel for me. Like it makes it worse. I hate. Ugh.
So Chris just basically made you relive like your childhood.
But this is different. This is just I had some wine. I'm not embarrassed.
Wine. She immediately turns red when she has red wine. I'm gonna pour a little
more.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Lara. I appreciate your solidarity in this.
I'm doing this for you, not for me, for you.
What a sacrifice.
I know, but that's just the kind of friend I am. So
wow.
Chris, let's go to bingo. Let's get a fucking bingo today.
Bingo.
All right, Lara, you may need to make this bigger on your end.
Okay.
So, I got one big one. Or we got a couple. All right, so we've gotten some things down. One of the things that we've been really looking for is a tattoo sighting. And we sure got it.
Yep.
This I would say is the clearest. Tattoo. It's the clearest tattoo sighting that's ever been that we've ever seen in any of these movies.
So he got this tattoo when he was very young. So this is basically there in every movie, but they do a lot of movies they don't show it. A lot of movies they cover it up. This is the first movie I feel like I've seen where they really just are like, this is your dumb tattoo. We're going to put this front and center.
And he's sweaty, and then he's got this tattoo, and that's like you see his back, and that's the first time you ever see him in the movie.
Yep. And I'm gonna also give us a cage sex scene. I feel like that's like a legit sex scene.
And underwater scuba propeller.
Thank you for bringing that up, Lara. We've shot ourselves in the foot with this one. It showed up in 2 movies.
It showed up in 2 friggin' movies. It's gonna show up again. It's got to.
Gonna happen. And I don't think he smokes in this movie.
That's interesting that no one smokes in the movie, right? Like, isn't that interesting?
We've had a string. So in the beginning, it was every movie Cage is smoking. But we've had a string where he hasn't been smoking in any of the movies, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And just even during the time period, you'd think, but there's no one smoking. All right.
What a responsible filmmaker to not put fucking ubiquitous smoking in every scene.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so no smoking. But
I'm not seeing any. Oh, non-native. No smoke. No, I'm not seeing anything else here.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
Oh.
He should see a therapist, but he's
Even though we didn't get bingo, I'm gonna play the animation. Oh crap! Wait, here we go.
Oh, it's so disturbing. Bingo. We didn't get a bingo.
I have a new animation courtesy of Will Gianetta, a new sound sting that is going to be premiered when we get bingo on this
When we get
card.
a bingo.
Yes.
All right, maybe next week.
You'll
Maybe
get it
next.
eventually. I believe in you.
One of these days.
All right, let's pivot over to the trivia section. I got a few fun facts before we move on. Trivia. Here's one thing. They really didn't want Nicolas Cage. Oh, Chris is gone. They really didn't want Nicolas Cage in this movie. I believe there was Peter Gallagher who was supposed to play.
Dad from the OC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Young Peter Gallagher, young PG, who would later be cast in a similarly themed film, While You Were Sleeping. I've never seen While You Were Sleeping, so
I've
you
seen
guys,
it. Mm-hmm.
is it similarly themed?
No, not at all.
No.
If
Oh
you're
no, you know what it is? It's the brother. It's that doesn't she end up with the brother? Isn't that why? Maybe they're saying
Bill Pullman is Peter Gallagher's brother in that movie, and while Bill Pullman's sleeping, she gets frisky with. While Peter Gallagher's
It's Sandra
sleeping.
Bullock, right?
Yeah, she's a toll booth. She's a
Toll booth
subway
operator,
subway ticket taker.
She's a toll booth operator. Yeah.
Well, like when you go to the subway, she's one of the people that like sells tickets, and then Peter Gallagher falls onto the tracks. She saves him, but he's in a coma, and she.
Guys, let's save that for our spin-off podcast called "Look at Me, I'm Sandra B."
Oh, I like that one.
Perfect.
Thank you guys for letting me interrupt you for my bad joke. All right, some more trivia. So basically, yeah. So Cher put her foot down and said, "I'm not doing this movie if Nicolas Cage isn't my love interest." And I said,
Wait, hold on. So
Yep.
earlier when I said I don't agree with everything Cher has ever said, I don't know everything she's ever said. This is one of those things. I don't know what she was thinking.
All right. So the original opening title sequence was supposed to have the score from La Boheme, so the opera, instead of That's Amore. But when they did previews, the test audiences were like, "Whoa, this seems pretentious. I'm not into it." Like they thought it was going to be like a crazy art film.
But they went to La Boheme in the goddamn movie.
I mean, it makes sense thematically.
They fit it in,
Another one is that the bakery that they filmed at was a working bakery, and they refused to close the bakery for filming. So they literally just worked around the film crew.
That feels right for Brooklyn.
So like some of that bread, people bought famous fucking bread. Oscar-winning bread was
Absolutely.
bought.
I believe it.
All right. So this is not going to make you like Nicolas Cage anymore, but he said that in his early 20s, he wanted to make the kind of movies that were essentially punk gestures. These are his exact words. And he read the screenplay to Moonstruck and was just like, "Oh, I would never watch this movie. Like, I don't want to be in a romantic comedy." But his agent basically insisted that he did it, probably because Cher was like, "I want this fucking guy."
Yeah, this fucking guy.
So he wasn't really a big fan of this movie. Like, he was like, this was like too mainstream for him.
But interestingly, he clearly went really into it because based on that other clip you showed where he was like, "Oh, like I'm drawing from this reference and this reference."
Yeah.
So He committed.
Sounds like he's just an immature kid. He's 24 years old. I mean,
that's fair.
What the shit does he know
he's
about
a
life?
Kid.
Yeah. He's lucky Cher wanted him, you know.
Just he got super lucky. I mean, lucky and also the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola. Those two things combined, boom. But also lucky.
Okay.
It's luck.
I have a crazy one. All right. So the actor. All right. So Frasier's dad.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 actors. Okay. Frasier's dad. Anita Gillette, who is the woman who plays Mona, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
I
an
know what
actor
you're gonna
named
say.
what?
I know what you're gonna say. Continue.
An actor named Robert Wheel, who played the waiter, sort of the older waiter, the older short waiter.
Bobo, or is that his name?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those 3 actors.
Can I guess what you're gonna say?
I want to let Lara guess.
All right.
I think
I have no idea. Idea.
Those 3 actors reunited in a movie in 1996 that you have absolutely seen, Lara.
Cool Runnings. No. Okay.
Chris, do you know what it is?
I thought you were gonna say they were all British.
Oh no, I don't know if Anita Gillette is British.
But apparently, Frasier's dad is fucking British, which is crazy to me.
Anita Gillette is American. They were all in She's the One.
Wait,
Frasier's dad was in She's the One?
Wait, hold on. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I was thinking She's All That.
Oh, She's All That.
What's She's the One?
I was so excited.
I don't know what She's All That then. They were in
She's the One. What is this movie?
I don't know that one.
All right, let's find it.
It's Cameron Diaz, Jennifer Aniston, Edward Burns.
Wait. No, that's not.
I remember this movie. It was garbage.
I was so excited. I thought it was She's All That.
This was like around the times of the Brothers McMullen. It's like that era.
Picture Perfect, right? I'm thinking Jennifer Aniston. She's the One.
She's the One.
They made a lot of shitty movies about love triangles in the early 2000s.
She's the One is a bad Ed Burns movie.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I really thought that they were all in She's All That, which really would be weird. Like, I don't know why all these older actors would be in She's All That.
Yeah,
Definitely
Frasier's dad.
She's All That.
Frasier's dad was
Maybe
Freddie Prinze Jr.'s dad, and She's All That.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know why the older actor would have been in that. All right, guys, let's rank this movie. Let's see where it stands against the other movies. I think it's gonna be pretty high.
I feel bad we didn't really for Brendan. I feel like we didn't dig in deep into the opera scene or the ending of the film, but
we can't do it all.
We got to a lot of places.
We can't do it all.
We talked about the ending, I feel.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
You know what, Lara, you're right. We did.
We did our best, Brendan. I'm sorry.
Thank you to our audience member, Brendan.
Thank you to our one audience member, Brendan.
No, I'm sure other people are watching. They're just being quiet.
Well, I mean the podcast audience. Thank you too.
Thank you, Brendan. Brendan says this has been great. All right, let's go to the ranking thing, Chris.
There are 4.
All right, we are there. All right, let's rank it up.
Okay. So, Lara, this is out of 10. We are going to ask you to score it in a few different categories. The first is the cast. So, like, how good did you feel like the casting was?
Well, can I ask you just a really quick question, which is, should I take my hatred for Nicolas Cage out of it to do this?
So this is honestly, and I realize that we set this up in kind of a flawed way, but this whole section is really not that Nicolas Cage dependent.
Okay.
I mean, you could take off a point if you're like, I don't think Nicolas Cage should have been the Ronnie character. I think that's very reasonable to do in this.
I think if you don't want, I didn't like the character, so it was okay for me that he played the character, you know?
Okay. So yeah, I think, how do you feel about the
10,
cast?
I think it was a great cast. I think they casted it great. Yeah.
Sorry, that is 0-1.
1. Yeah, just a 1.
I am in like crazy agreement with you on this. I, for one, like the way we've done our scoring because really, Cage is the common denominator between all these movies. The judgment we make of Cage is the entire podcast. The films he's in are what we're rating. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I just made that up. That's a good drunk thought.
It was beautiful, Chris. It was really beautiful.
But no, this cast, I mean, it was beautiful, right? You had just a really amazing cast. Also, I want to point out, there's a woman who I have no idea who she is. You know what? I'm going to start a thought here. It's going to go nowhere. next to the lady who was like, he's the most tortured man I've ever met in my whole life.
Yeah.
There's a woman.
Brunette.
She's in a lot of stuff. I just don't know her name. All right, Lara's there with me.
I know. I
got it.
remember her. You know what? I remember her.
And she also looks a lot like our friend Molly. But anyway, I'm going to give it a 9.
So wait. So wait, what is preventing you from giving it a 10?
Because it wasn't a lot of big names. I mean, you had Danny Aiello. You had a lot of really great, you know what?
But were they big names?
I take it back. It's a 10. Boom. 10 for cast.
I'm
Done.
not trying to pressure you. I'm
Nobody ever questions me. Like, no, I can't. I'll change it to whatever you want if you really pressure me.
No, I'm not. I just was.
Lara's in charge of your score now,
You know
too.
what?
Chris.
One. It's a 1 now because no. I mean 11. Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
Olympia Dukakis.
All right. So I'm going to say I did not know a lot of these names going into it. I did not recognize Frasier's dad. I did not know a lot of people, but I thought despite that, like a lot of movies I've gone and I've been like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, it's that guy. It's that guy. Right. This was perfectly cast. I thought it was wonderful. I fell in love with all the actors that worked on it. So I'm going to give it an 8 just for, giving room for extra points if it's a lot of people whose, work I'm previously familiar with.
Why is that the barometer like that you have to?
Because it's our show, Lara.
That's how we've been scoring it. I changed mine back to a 9 for that reason. That's how we've been scoring it.
All right. Okay.
I don't think. I think I'm just hesitant because I'm going to give this movie a lot of high scores, and I just don't want to.
Okay, you don't want to over.
We're trying to maintain the semblance of some kind of order here, but there really is none.
I think I'm trying to think of a recent movie that we've had, like a movie like Wild at Heart, which had a lot of different people who I was like, I know this person
Willem
from this. I
Dafoe
know
out
this
of
person.
nowhere. You had like just all these random, really great people just kind of show up, and you're like, oh, what an incredible.
That's
cast.
what was lacking for me. Is I'm not familiar with Vincent Gardenia. I'm not familiar with Olivia Dukakis, and I should be, but I certainly am now. But and that's not the fault of the movie. That's just.
Right, because the next movie you see with her in it, you're going to be like, oh, her. And then that movie is going to take the credit for it when this movie didn't get the credit for it.
Well, it's like if you look at neorealism, it's like, oh, yeah, perfectly cast because they actually cast the people who are like, but like, that's different than what we're talking about, which is we're like.
Okay.
All right. Overall acting, this is not Nicolas Cage's acting. This is everyone else's acting. Okay. So out of 10, what do you think, Lara?
I mean, I think because to your point, it was very like dramatic. It was like kind of theatrical. Like, I guess I would. Guys, you're gonna. I just
whatever you say is right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just give it a 10 because I don't think I believed all of. I mean, I believed all of it, but I also it was big. It was big. It was it was. So
we like to call this one the Serpico when a guest comes on and gives it all 10s.
I am very curious.
That was what happened with Mandy. I don't think it doesn't deserve it. I'm not saying it doesn't for this one.
I guess it's just like a hard thing to judge because it's like, are you judging it based on like what you like really believed? And then, but it's like when you have that theatrical element, it's like, well, there's going to be a little bit of just the bigness that you want. So I don't know. Because I could split it down into like point by point, like a rubric that makes the nuance and the difference between a 7 and an 8. And I don't think you want me to go there. So I'm just going to give it a 10. Sorry.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9. I thought there were so many moments in this movie where I felt like the acting really made the whole movie. Like just someone's delivery of a single line just kind of like just took you to another place. So I really thought like this is the movie where writing and acting together, like I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 10. That's why I was kind of saving it because I was like this gets done. I mean, so I don't think we've mentioned this, but we got 2 Academy Awards from this. Olympia Dukakis and Cher both got Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. I believe there was a couple other nominations. I thought the acting was spot on. There's nothing that took me out of it. Amazing.
All right. How fun was this movie out of 10? It's okay if the answer is another 10.
Yeah, Lara,
no, I'm going to give it a 7.
Oh.
Okay.
Ooh. Because it's so much Nick Cage.
Maybe. And maybe there was just a lot that I was like, yeah, go ahead.
No, all right. I think that it wasn't like a roller coaster ride of fun like Face Off. It was fun though. It was very fun. So I'm gonna give it an 8. It was very fun. I had a lot of I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm also gonna give it an 8. I thought it was solidly fun. All right. Next one is technical. This is like sets, costumes, special effects, music, stuff like that.
I give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it a 6 because I mean, actually, I'll give it a 7 just because.
For those listening, Lara just gave Chris a death stare.
No, I was just no. Oh my god.
Well, the 7 is more
No,
like
I'm kidding.
I'm like thinking about, were there any big practical effects they had to do? Was there any kind of really challenging costuming they had to do? I guess like Cher's stuff. It was great. Nothing took me out of it, but there wasn't anything like special effects wise, anything huge that they did. If you compare it to all other Nick Cage films, I'm not like gonna put this up there with the movies that had like a lot of crazy stuff. Tron.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6. I not taking off any points, but I think this is solid middle of the road. Nothing took me out of it. No complaints.
Right.
All right. Overall, Lara, out of 10, how much did you love this movie?
I'm in the 7-8 territory.
Whoa.
Okay.
You can give fractions. I think it's fine. Right?
7.5.
Is that okay, Meg? Does it work with your algorithm or whatever?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Fractions are allowed.
Encouraged even. I am going to give this movie a 7.55.
No, that's a.
I mean, that'll help us prevent us from having any ties later on. That's for sure. I'm gonna give it an 8. I really did enjoy this movie a lot.
Was there a 1?
Oh, a whole number, huh?
8.01. Chris, take that back. It's an 8. Solid 8. All right, last section we get to add or take away a point for any particular thing you liked or disliked. You could take away a point for a bad wig. You could add a point for a funny one-liner. So we can just popcorn whoever thinks of it first. One they'd like to add.
I'm taking away a point. Because Nicolas Cage, I just.
You're taking away a point because Nicolas Cage is in the movie.
The central theme of the whole podcast. I'm going to add a point for the grandfather.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a point for all the one-liners and the quote. Like the script in general was just so funny. And I do want to say before we go any further, so what does this look like? So Lara's score is like 35, 42 and a half, 41 and a half. So, Chris, our highest score was not actually Serpico for Mandy, our highest guest score. It's a tie between Connor Allen for The Rock and Molly Walburn for Valley Girl.
Oh.
They both gave their movies a 46. So
damn. So
this is not our most enthusiastic guest.
Lara, you did not like totally blow out the score with your 10s, which I think these 10s are
you
appropriate.
It was just the first 2, you know?
Yeah.
And these 10s are appropriate. Like this is a really good film.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a joke at all.
So here's the question, guys. Does it take the number 1 spot?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No,
Okay.
because
I don't
Serpico
think
was
you should ask
super
me.
enthusiastic.
I don't think
Let's
you should
find
ask.
out.
All right, we're gonna
I
find
don't
out.
want. I just looked at the numbers, so I won't guess.
Oh, she just Meg is the
I
master.
just pulled the spreadsheet up because I wanted to see who was our most enthusiastic guest.
Meg
and,
loves to read the spoilers before she goes to the movie.
No, it was because I wanted to see who was the best. Who was the?
I'm
Alright.
the same Meg. I do that too.
Okay,
Here we
Chris,
go.
Take
Drum-
it away.
I gotta put a
Take
drum
us there.
roll on
Wait,
my-
and I want to say before we actually go to the next one that our devoted listener Brendan, thank you for listening, has predicted this will be our number 1 movie. So
It's not going to be, but
it's not going to be okay.
I
Take
think,
it.
I think number 1 was like 165. I don't know. Let's go. Oh no, bro! I'm so wrong. It's number 1. I really thought number 1 was like way higher for some reason. Wow, the one you can't see behind us is 10 Wild at Heart, by the way.
I think the theme of the podcast is Brendan being right and having and
There you go.
knowing
I mean,
everything.
having a film major in our lives has been very helpful for us doing a movie.
Oh my
Wow,
goodness.
number
Alright,
1,
okay.
Moonstruck. You heard.
All right, I
here.
just want to read this. Read some of these for the podcast audience. Our number one movie is Moonstruck, that beat Mandy and The Rock, Raising Arizona. Our lowest movie remains USS Indianapolis, Men of Courage.
Firmly seated with a solid 12 points.
It was the worst.
That's interesting. So you have like National Treasure, Leaving Las Vegas, or toward the end. I don't know Valley Girl.
The fun score really.
You'd love Valley Girl, Lara. Lara, that's a very fun movie.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Actually, wait, no, you wouldn't because you hate Nicolas Cage. Never mind.
Yeah, but I might like.
Go ahead, Chris. What were you saying? I cut you
Leaving
off.
Las Vegas, the funds were 0 across the board because it was a very unfun movie to watch. Same with 8mm. Same with National Treasure. I'm surprised is so low, but it was the acting.
Surprised.
Like when something's a 0 across the board, it really takes a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because National Treasure is one of those movies that even though it's Nicolas Cage, I still like it because I love all that like Da Vinci Code like kind of stuff. Like so I would watch that again, even though he was the main guy. I wouldn't like him in it, but
I think the acting though it took zeros
It's
across
pretty
the
bad
board,
acting.
so it like ended up.
I believe it because it's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the
second to
Cage
last.
Gauge.
All right, guys, it's time for the Cage Gauge. That's right, the 2-axis plot that shows you Cage craziness versus his acting ability for a given film on a plot. What does that tell you? Who knows? But that's what we're doing. So anyway, it's time for the Cage Gauge. Everyone, Moonstruck, it's out of 10. What would you give Nick Cage, Lara, our esteemed guest, out of 10 for that quintessential Cage craziness? I'm not talking about him playing a crazy character who's someone's mental illness. I'm talking about, you know what I mean, yelling random lines, being nuts, getting all crazy, that kind of Cage crazy.
Yelling at his wooden hand.
Yelling at his, I literally just did it. Yeah. What would you give it for this film?
Well, so what you're saying, it's not about like
It's just how much. Here, I'll go. I'll cut in front of Larry.
You go first.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I think that it's not like there's a lot of like violent craziness. There's a lot of like screaming obscenities craziness. Like this is not quite there. But he is actually. I'm gonna downgrade it to a 7 just because I know there's a big upper end of this range.
So is it how wild and out there he gets in movies and this comparatively speaking? Okay.
Where he you can tell he took his liberties with the script and got really nuts.
Got really into it.
Unruly for the filmmakers to manage. He just was just doing what he wanted to do on set and people are like, all right.
Don't overthink it, Lara. Whatever you think.
Okay. I would say, like a 7, I guess, because it sounds like he didn't even really want to do the movie. And then when he did the movie, he like got into it, but maybe not to the point he got into some of those other movies.
7s across the board.
We like 7s. All right.
Lucky
How good
7s.
is his acting in this movie? Whoever thinks of one first.
I don't think it was that good.
I don't think so either.
I'm going to give him a 4. I wasn't super.
Lara thinks that's generous.
No. I'm processing.
Because he's actually not that great of an actor in this movie. Cher, nailing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he brings to this movie is that crazy, surreal shit that makes it, that elevates the whole movie to this place where it's like a very strange, kind of unreal situation. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't bring like a really. I don't feel a lot when he's acting.
He's not grounded.
His whole monologue where he's like, "They don't put us on this world to be perfect." That whole thing, I'm like, I'm not really feeling anything when he's talking.
I agree with what you said, Mike. He doesn't feel grounded to me. Like he's just so yeah. I don't know. Maybe like a 5.5, 5.5.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I didn't think his acting was that great. He was just, with a lot of people that were doing very different, very.
It's hard to tell like what's his character and like what's,
This is a rare.
Take us to the grid, Chris.
Rare Cage that puts us for such a good movie into the more crazy bad acting, like an Oscar-winning movie into the more crazy bad act. But he did not win an Oscar for this film. And that we are in the Wicker Man territory. Right next to the Wicker Man is this movie.
Surprising.
That puts us but it puts us right next to Vampire's Kiss, which makes a lot of sense because it was the next movie he did, pretty much. Face Off is in that quadrant. So, all right, good movies do happen in that quadrant, but it's just a strange quadrant you don't see a lot of the films in. So, it's interesting. Yeah.
All right. We've done it, guys. We've made it through another podcast. We've had a few glasses of wine. We might order takeout after this. We'll see.
We might order takeout.
Highly
Happy
likely.
Valentine's Day, everybody.
It's Valentine's Day. Feel free to drop your takeout suggestions in the chat. We will probably take them. So we will be actually wait before we do that, Lara. So what's going on with you? What's some stuff you want to promote?
I guess most recently I worked with you on helping to write the Corey and the Wong Notes variety show. What is the YouTube URL? It's
if you search for Corey Wong on YouTube,
Yeah.
you'll find it.
Corey Wong. And then I'm as you said, writer and professional communicator. So if anyone needs any help with writing, ghostwriting, editing, like branding, messaging kind of stuff, I'm your gal. So LaraDrasin.com. Get to it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So we are going to be back next week. Our movie, we're taking a brief detour from our like romantic theme for the month. And we're watching a movie called Next, which is one Chris has been so excited about.
Fucking pumped about this one.
Why are you so excited about this one?
All right. This movie is about a man who can see, similar to the superhero Maverick from Marvel Comics, can see 5 minutes into the future based on the book. Yes, it's based on a book. The Golden Man. This dude can see 5 minutes in the future. That is his whole power. They really do a lot of it. This is true. What else is true with his powers? It's great. It's the unbelievable romantic situation between him and a much, much younger, her name escapes
Jessica
me.
Biel.
Jessica Biel.
Oh.
Amazingly fun, like fun movie to watch, but like obviously if you don't like Nicolas Cage, you will hate this film.
Yeah.
And we have a terrific guest next week.
Yeah,
I can't
we
wait.
have
Rennie
Rennie Rivas, who is a podcaster and voiceover actress, since stand-up comedian. So I think that'll be pretty fun. She said basically, "I'll do whatever movie you guys want," and Chris is like, "Get her to do Next."
And like, her audio is probably gonna sound a lot better than ours because she probably has like a soundproof booth at her house, so it'll be like a little crazy.
And her computer's not going to die in the middle of the podcast.
Lara, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I gave you shit for that, Lara.
No, I'm sorry. Like I should have plugged in my computer.
It's Valentine's Day.
like-
Ladies
Chris
don't
is
need
like-
to be sorry on Valentine's Day. Chauvinism. All right.
Chris took like an improv class with someone whose computer died in the middle of the class. Like,
The teacher.
Let me go with this.
The teacher's computer died.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Not the students. The teacher was like, "Oh, I'm teaching a class and I didn't plug my laptop in." Like,
That's a little better because then you're not just left there like on your own. But I guess again, you could kind of do something with it if someone else.
So this is a personal vendetta Chris has.
I have this personal vendetta against people who don't plug their laptops in before they start streaming.
It's valid. I mean, that's
Plug
pretty
it
cool.
in.
Yeah.
We are at year 1 of this bullshit. You gotta know how to work. Actually, Lara, I am not talking to you. Lara, I am not talking to you. I am talking to the public. I'm talking to the public.
I deserve all
Wait,
of it.
no, Lara, seriously, I'm not talking to you. You're obviously not amongst the people I'm addressing right now, but we are at year 1 of this bullshit.
All right, guys.
I love you, Lara. I'm not talking to you, but we are at year 1.
Come on. I get it.
Guys, I am cutting us off. The show is over. We will be back next week.
It's over
Thank
when
you
I
so
say it's
much.
over. I got the buttons.
That's true, you do.
All right, good night, everybody.
We'll see you guys all next week. Thank you, Lara.
Bye.
Bye.